In the beginning, when the earth had no form and darkness covered the deep, there was only the Lord, the Eternal One. Space had not been measured, time had not been reckoned, and the universe had not yet been named. But he spoke, and his word created all things. Light sprang forth like an answer from the void. Water and earth divided. Sky and sea found their place. Plants grew, and the stars took their places like lamps in the vast sky. All became orderly, like a symphony of the Creator. And finally, he created man in his image and placed him in the Garden of Eden to live, to rule, and to walk with him in his original glory. But the story of Genesis is more than just a story about the beginning of the universe. It is a history of the covenant, a journey of mercy, the root of all humanity. In its pages we see the fall of man and the promise of a Redeemer, the lineage preserved through the generations from Adam to Noah, the great flood that cleanses the earth, and a new beginning in Noah's family, the great faith of Abraham, father of a chosen people, the formation of Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel, the wisdom of Joseph, raised up by God to save a nation. Genesis is the gateway to the entire Bible, the foundation of all the promises, all the covenants, all the prophecies, and the path to the Messiah. So these pages are not just to read, but to contemplate, not just to know, but to understand, not just to remember, but to encounter God himself, the one who began everything, and the one who will complete everything. Part I, Creation 1. The beginning of heaven and earth. In the beginning, when the heavens were not yet stretched out like a curtain, when the earth had not yet formed, when there were no mountains or deep seas, there was only God, the eternal God, who stood before time, created time, and made it subject to his feet. And the earth was a waste and empty place. Darkness covered the deep. But the Spirit of God was moving over the waters like a gentle wind over the surface, like life waiting for a command. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, shining in the darkness like the first fire of the universe. Commentary. In the ancient Middle East, peoples believed that the world was born out of chaos. But here the Bible describes a powerful God who brought the universe into being by speaking. 2. The formation of nature. And God separated the light from the darkness, and established the day and the night. He stretched out the expanse between the waters and the waters, and made the heavens a great dome. Then he gathered the waters under the heavens, and made the dry land appear. He called the earth earth, and the waters he called seas. And he saw that it was good. And he said to the earth, "Let there be vegetation according to its kind, each seed according to its kind." And the earth obeyed him. Geographical setting. This description reflects Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers fertilized the land. In ancient thought, the gathering of waters signified the control of chaos. 3. The great and the small light. Then God hung the sun in the sky to rule the day, and the moon to rule the night. He made the stars, and they went about in their courses as he had ordained. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. Commentary. The pagans worshipped the sun and moon as gods, but in the Bible, they are simply God's handiwork lamps he hung in the sky. 4. Abundant life. God said, "Let there be living creatures that move in the seas, and birds that fly in the sky." Then God said to the sea, "Be fruitful and multiply." The sea and the sky obeyed. Then God created the animals on the earth according to their kinds, wild animals, livestock, and reptiles, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. 5. The birth of man. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Then God formed man from the dust of the ground. He bent down and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. And God said to him, I give you dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, and over the beasts of the earth, and over every living thing. Be fruitful and multiply, and subdue the earth. Biblical dialogue. And the man said, O God, who formed me from the dust of the ground, who am I that you should remember me? And God said, You are the work of my hands. I have given you the breath of life, and I have appointed you to rule over the works of my hands. Cultural background. In ancient cultures, kings were images of gods, but the Bible shows that all humans bear the image of God. This is an unprecedented idea in ancient times. 6. The Garden of Eden. The Lord God planted a garden in the east of Eden. 4 rivers watered the garden: the Pishon, the Gihon, the Tigris, and the Euphrates. The land was fertile, and pure gold, frankincense, and carnelian were precious. He put the man in the garden to keep and care for it. He said to him, You may eat of every tree of the garden, but you shall not touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Geographical notes. The 4 rivers are associated with ancient Mesopotamia, the first center of human civilization. 7. The creation of woman. And God said, It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. He caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he took one of his ribs and fashioned it into a woman and brought her to the man. And the man said, She is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. And they were naked and were not ashamed, for sin had not yet entered the world. Part 2. Noah and the first covenant of heaven and earth. Introduction to the patriarchs, after Adam. And after the days of Adam and Eve, when children were born to them, and their descendants increased on the earth, the people began to multiply, but their hearts were increasingly turned away from their Creator. They dwelt from the eastern plains of Eden to the southern lands of Mesopotamia, where the 2 great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, flow. And they built cities, dug wells, and built high places, and worshipped images made by their hands, of clay burned on the earth. And this displeased God. The corruption of man and the sighing of the earth. And in those days the strong oppressed the weak, the rich oppressed the poor, and violence and bloodshed spread from field to city. People lived in the flesh, immorally, and increased their evil day by day. They said to one another, We are free. No one in heaven sees us, but the Creator sees everything, and the earth groans to him because of the violence that is in it. And the Lord said, My spirit will no longer strive with men forever, for their flesh is corrupted. Their wickedness increases day by day, and the imagination of their hearts is unceasing. 2. Noah, the righteous one in a corrupt generation. And of all the people on earth, only Noah, son of Lamech, was the one who walked with God. Noah lived in the lowlands of northern Mesopotamia, near the mountains of Ararat, where the climate was colder and drier and the land was fertile. People laughed at him because he did not follow their corrupt ways, but Noah was steadfast. One night, in silence, God appeared to him, and God said, Listen, Noah, faithful one in a corrupt generation, I will cleanse the land from all violence, and I will bring floods upon all its lands. But I will establish my covenant with you, and with your wife, your sons, and your daughters-in-law. Make me an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in it, and coat it inside and outside with pitch. Noah fell face down on the ground and said, O God of everlasting, I do not understand what you are doing, but your righteousness is everlasting. Speak to me. And God said, Do everything I command you, and you will be saved. IV. Interpretation of Noah's time. Historical and archaeological context. Many ancient legends in Mesopotamia, Babylon, Assyria, and Sumer all have stories of a great flood. This suggests that there may have been a very strong hydrological event at that time. Rising sea levels, melting ice, flash floods from the Euphrates or Tigris rivers. The Bible suggests that the moral corruption of mankind was the main cause. The flood was a divine judgment. Geographic context. The Ararat region is a mountainous region in eastern Turkey today, a forested area suitable for large timber. This is the traditional location associated with Noah's Ark. V. Noah hears and follows. Noah stands up in faith, and the scriptures describe him as completely obedient. And for many years, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth began to cut down trees, cut the timber, and set it up according to the measurements God had given them: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. The people watched Noah work and laughed at him. There has never been a great flood in this land before. What is this old fool doing with that huge box? But Noah answered, "The day of judgment will come, as God has told me." They mocked him. "If the heavens pour water on the earth, we will build higher. If the floods come, we will flee to the mountains. You are afraid, but we are not afraid." And they continued in their arrogance. VI. God speaks to Noah again. When the ark was nearly completed, God said to Noah, "Bring into the ark 2 by 2 every living creature, 7 pairs of clean animals and 2 of unclean animals, and every bird of the air, that it may remain on the earth." Noah asked, "Lord, how shall I find them among the mountains and forests?" God said, "I will bring them to you. You only need to prepare." And indeed, 2 by 2 of the animals, great and small, birds of the air, and creeping things, came near the ark, as though led by an invisible hand. The people saw and were amazed, but their hearts were hardened. The 5. The ark door closed. Noah and his family entered the ark, and as they entered, strong winds blew from 4 directions, and the clouds gathered and thunder rumbled. God spoke to Noah one last time before the flood. "In 7 days I will make it rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights. On the 7th day, the clouds covered the earth like a curtain, and when Noah entered the ark, the Lord himself shut the door, and there was silence between heaven and earth for a few minutes." 8. The flood begins. Then the heavens opened, the floodgates of the clouds, and the great springs of the earth burst open. Water gushed forth from the earth like pillars, and rain poured down from the sky like torrents. The scriptures say, "It rained on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and a loud cry was heard from the high places, from the cities, and from the plains. But the door of the ark would not be opened, and the people beat on the planks of the ark, saying, 'Noah, open, let us go in.' But Noah said, 'The Lord has shut the door. I cannot open it.'" X. Commentary. The Great Flood in Human Tradition. Most ancient civilizations have stories about great floods. Gilgamesh of Sumer, Atrahasis of Babylon, Greek, Indian, Chinese legends. Many scholars believe that at the end of the Ice Age, the sea level rose very quickly, causing widespread flooding. But the Bible emphasizes that in addition to natural factors, this was a divine judgment. X. The ark on the water. Noah and his children. When the waters rose, the ark was lifted, and the sons asked Noah, "Father, will everything be swept away?" Noah replied, "What God has said will surely come to pass, but he will protect us." Noah's wife whispered, "Will we live to see dry land again?" Noah put his hand on her shoulder. "He who gives water also gives life. He is the God of the covenant." XI. 40 days and 40 nights. The wind blew, and the waves beat against the ark, but the ark did not break. And Noah stood in the midst of the ark and prayed, Lord, you have covered us with the shadow of your wings. Keep us in the day of your wrath, and bring us to a place of peace. And God listened. 12. After the flood. The waters declined. The waters continued to rise for 150 days. Then God caused a strong wind to blow over the land, and the waters began to recede. The ark stuck on the slopes of Ararat. Noah opened the window of the ark and sent out the raven, but it found no place to perch. Then he sent out the dove, and it brought back a young olive branch. Noah said, Lord, the earth has begun to revive. The 13. Noah went out and built an altar, and when the earth was completely dry, God said, Come out of the ark, you and your children with you, and begin life anew on the earth. Noah went out, knelt on the ground, and offered an offering to the Lord. God smelled the pleasing aroma and said, Never again will I destroy the earth with water. I establish my covenant forever. And he set the rainbow in the sky as a sign of the covenant. XIV. Commentary on the Rainbow Covenant. The rainbow is an image that means peace between heaven and earth, an unchanging promise, a new era for mankind. Thus Noah became the second father of mankind. From him his sons spread out over the earth, establishing nations and settlements. And the Bible reminds, Noah did everything God commanded him. Part 3. Abraham, the one called out of Ur. Historical background. The Chaldean land of Ur. And after the days of Noah, when his descendants spread over the earth, great cities arose along the two great rivers of the east, and one of the most magnificent was Ur, the Chaldean city, located near the mouth of the Persian Gulf, and it was famous for high ziggurats, worshipping the moon Nana, groups of fortune tellers, magicians, astrologers, rich people trading with Egypt and the Mediterranean, vibrant culture but full of imagery and magic. In that context, there was a man named Abram, son of Terah, a descendant of Shem. Abram did not follow imagery like the people in the city. He believed in God, the creator of heaven and earth, with the three. The first call from God. One night, as Abram was looking up at the starry sky, a very decisive and authoritative voice rang out in his spirit. Get out, Abram, from your country, from your people, from your father's house, to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. Your name will be great. You will be a blessing to all nations. And Abram trembled, but he also felt great peace. He said, Lord, where are you saying I should go? I do not know the land. And God said, You do not know, but I know. You walk, and I will lead you. Abram leaves Ur. Historical commentary. And Abram believed God. He left Ur, a wealthy, civilized, comfortable city. This was extremely difficult in the context of that time. Ur was the leading cultural center of Mesopotamia, but Abram set out with Sarai, his wife, Lot, his nephew, and all his family, servants, sheep, and camels. They headed northwest along the Euphrates River, a major trade route. He set out without a map, only with a promise, Ephraim. God spoke again at Haran. When they reached Haran, a good hill country, Abram stopped. There were many people there, many merchants passing through. But after a while, God said, Abram, do not stay here. Go to the land that I will give to your seeds. Abram said, Lord, I am old, and Sarai is old too. How shall we have offspring? God said, I am the one who created dust and breath and all things. Is anything too hard for me? Abram bowed his head and went on his way. Abram goes to Canaan. And when Abram crossed the desert north of Syria, he entered Canaan, the vast land between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. There were green olive hills, fertile valleys, fortified cities of the Canaanites, peoples who worshipped Baal and Astarte. And God appeared to Abram near the oak of Moreh at Shechem and said, I will give this land to your descendants. Abram then built an altar to the Lord. Vins. T. Famine and Abram goes to Egypt. Commentary. A severe famine occurred in the land. The streams dried up, the pastures withered. Abram had to take his whole caravan to Egypt, where the Nile fertilized every year. Egypt was a great power at that time, with pyramids, pharaohs, and agriculture based on the cycle of rising waters. Abram said to his wife, Sarai, you are beautiful. If the Egyptians see you, they will kill me because of you. Tell them that she is my sister. This situation is not a complete lie. Among Abram's relatives, Sarai is indeed a close relative, but Abram did so out of fear. Pharaoh saw that Sarai was beautiful and wanted to take her to his palace. God then brought disaster upon Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh said to Abram, Why have you hidden her from me? Why did you not tell her that she was your wife? Take her and leave Egypt. Abram left Egypt and returned to Canaan, richer because his livestock had increased. 7. The promise of a son and the covenant of the stars. One night, God said to Abram, Look up at the sky. Can you count the stars? That is how many your descendants will be. Abram said, Lord, I am old, and Sarai is old. You have given me your word, but I do not understand your ways. God said, Your descendants will not come from another man, but from your own flesh. And Abram believed. It was counted to him as righteousness. 8. The covenant of the flesh. Abram becomes Abraham. God said, Abram, you will no longer be called Abram, but Abraham, for I have made you the father of many nations. And God made a covenant with the sign of circumcision, the sign of a people who belong to him. Next, 3 strangers come to Abraham's camp one hot day. Abraham saw 3 men standing near his camp. He invited them in, washed their feet, set out bread, meat, and milk. One of the men said, Sarai, your wife, will have a child next year. Sarai heard it from inside the camp and laughed. God said, Why is Sarai laughing? Is anything too hard for you? And when a son was born to Abraham, he named him Isaac, which means laughter. Part 4. Isaac, the heir of the promise. Isaac, the child of promise. And Isaac grew up, strong, gentle, and loved quiet. His personality was different from Abraham, quiet, deep, and introverted. Isaac was considered a promise keeper, not a pioneer like Abraham to the second. The great test, Isaac on Mount Moriah. One morning, God said, Abraham. Abraham replied, Here I am. God said, Take Isaac, your only son whom you love, and go to Mount Moriah and offer him as a sacrifice. Abraham did not argue. It was not yet dawn, and he prepared wood, knife, and rope. Isaac asked, Father, there is fire and wood, but where is the sheep? Abraham replied, God will provide for himself, my son. Isaac was obedient and did not resist. When Abraham raised the knife, the angel said, Abraham, do not harm the boy. Now I know that you fear God. Abraham saw a ram caught in a thicket by its horns, and that place was called, The Lord Will Provide. Doppler 3. Isaac marries Rebekah. Abraham sent his servant to his homeland of Mesopotamia to find a wife for Isaac. The servant found Rebekah by a well, and Rebekah was kind. She drew water for him and watered his camels. This was a sign from God. Isaac met Rebekah, and his grief after his mother's death was relieved. They fell in love and lived in peace. Part 5. Jacob, the one who was named Israel the First. Two brothers, Esau and Jacob. Rebekah gave birth to twins, Esau and Jacob. Esau was strong and loved hunting. Jacob was gentle and loved to stay in camp. Isaac loved Esau. Rebekah loved Jacob. The second, the birthright one day. Esau came home tired and said, "Give me that red stew." Jacob answered, "Sell me your birthright." Esau said, "I am starving. What use is my birthright?" And Esau ate and despised the blessing of the Lord. Number II. Jacob receives blessing. The old Isaac calls Esau in to bless him. Rebekah hears and tells Jacob to disguise himself. Jacob comes near. Isaac touches his hand, feels hair, thinks it is Esau. Isaac blesses him. A fertile land will be yours. The nations will serve you. Whoever blesses you will be blessed. When Esau finds out, he is angry and vows to kill Jacob. The heavenly ladder at Bethel. Jacob flees to Haran. The first night, he uses stones as pillows, and he sees a ladder from earth to heaven. Angels are going up and down. God said, "I will be with you. I will bring you back." Jacob said, "You are my God. I will make this place my house." Jacob marries Leah and Rachel. In Haran, Jacob works for Laban. Jacob falls in love with Rachel, but Laban deceives him by marrying Leah first. Jacob works for another 7 years to marry Rachel. Jacob's family grows. 12 sons, the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob wrestles with the angel. When he returns home, Jacob fears Esau. That night, he wrestles with a stranger who is actually the angel of the Lord. The angel says, "You have struggled with men and with God, and you have prevailed." The angel changes his name to Israel, which means he who struggles with God. Part 6. Joseph, the promise keeper, for the whole nation won. Joseph, the beloved son, Jacob, loved Joseph because he was the son of his old age. He gave Joseph a coat of many colors. His brothers were jealous. Joseph had a dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. His brothers hated him even more. 2. Joseph was sold into Egypt. His brothers threw Joseph into a well, then sold him to the Ishmaelites. Joseph went to Egypt and became a servant in the house of Potiphar. But the Lord was with Joseph. 3. Pharaoh's prison and dream. Joseph is falsely accused and thrown into prison. There he interprets the dreams of the cupbearer and the eunuch. Then Pharaoh has 2 terrifying dreams. Joseph is summoned. Pharaoh asks, "Can you interpret it?" Joseph answers, "Not I, but God will." Joseph interprets that there will be 7 years of plenty, then 7 years of famine. Pharaoh appoints Joseph as prime minister, IV. Joseph saves the whole world from famine. During the 7 years of famine, people from all over the world come to Egypt to buy grain. Joseph manages all things wisely. Joseph meets his brothers again. When his brothers come to buy grain, Joseph recognizes him, but they do not recognize him. After many trials, Joseph tells them, "I am Joseph, your brother." They tremble with fear. Joseph said, "You intended evil against me, but God turned it into good." Jacob went down to Egypt to see his son before he died. Conclusion of the whole story. From Adam to Joseph, the lineage of promise is preserved through Abraham, the one who dares to walk; Isaac, the one who obeys; Jacob, the one who fights; Joseph, the one who keeps the whole lineage from starving. This is God's journey with man, spanning many generations, always faithful, never changing. Part 7. Isaac and Rebekah. The seed of promise is born, and the Lord opened the womb of Rebekah after many years of barrenness. She felt 2 children fighting within her, and she inquired of the Lord. A mysterious voice, and the Lord said to her, 2 nations are within you. The greater will serve the lesser. And that became the basis for the entire history of the people of Israel. Commentary. Historical significance. At that time, Esau was the legitimate firstborn and should have received the birthright. But Esau was a hunter, a lover of the wild life. Jacob was a quiet man, a man who liked to stay in tents, listening to the word of the Lord. Therefore, the birthright was transferred not by trickery, but by the will of the Lord. Part 8. Jacob gets blessings, the roots of a nation. When Esau was tired from hunting, Jacob cooked a pot of red lentils. Esau exclaimed, "Esau, give me that red lentil, for I am tired." Jacob, "Sell me your birthright." And Esau despised that sacred right for a meal. Isaac's blessing. When Isaac was old and his eyes were failing, he called Esau to bless him. But Rebekah knew that God had chosen Jacob, so she prepared everything. Isaac laid his hands on Jacob's head and said, "May the Lord give you the dew of heaven and the blessings of the earth. May your brothers serve you, and your sons bow down to you." And so Jacob received the blessing as the father of a nation. Commentary. Historical significance. This blessing became the introduction to the 12 tribes of Israel, the source of the conflict between Israel and Edom, the descendants of Esau, for centuries. Today, Part 9. Dream of a staircase to heaven. Jacob meets God. When Jacob fled from Esau, he stopped in a deserted place and placed a stone as a pillow. That night, he saw a great ladder reaching to heaven, and angels were ascending and descending on it. And the Lord said to him, "I am the God of Abraham and Isaac. The land on which you lie will be yours and your descendants. I will be with you and will not leave you." Excerpt. Geography. The place was Bethel, which means house of the Lord. It became one of the holiest places for the Israelites. Jacob's inner dialogue. Jacob, "If the Lord will be with me and bring me back safely, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone will be his house." Part 10. Jacob, Leah, Rachel. The formation of the 12 tribes. Jacob served Laban out of love for Rachel, but on the wedding night, Laban married Leah first, then Rachel, and the rivalry between the 2 sisters became the root of the 12 tribes. List of Jacob's sons in order of birth: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. Significance. These 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel, which are the foundation for the entire Old Testament and the history of the Jewish people. Part 11. Jacob returns to his homeland. The battle with the angel. On his way back to his homeland, Jacob heard that Esau was coming with 400 men. He was afraid and stayed alone that night, and a mysterious man wrestled with him until dawn. When Jacob did not let go, the man said, "From now on, you will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men, and you have prevailed." Commentary. Theology. The name Israel means he who struggles with God. That has been the nature of this nation throughout history. Part 12. The story of Joseph, the keeper of the line. Joseph was hated by his brothers because of his father's love and because of his dreams from God. Sold to Egypt, Ishmaelite traders took him to Egypt. There he was falsely accused and imprisoned, but then became a dream interpreter for Pharaoh. The interpretation of the dream, Joseph said, "It is not I, but the Lord who will give Pharaoh the interpretation of peace. He explained, 7 years of plenty will come, then 7 years of great famine. Joseph became prime minister. By the wisdom given by God, he became the savior of the Egyptian empire and the surrounding peoples. Part 13. Reunion. Tears in the land of Egypt. When famine came to Canaan, Joseph's brothers came looking for grain. They did not know that the powerful man before them was their brother. After many tests to see if their hearts had changed, Joseph could not hold back his tears and said, "I am Joseph, your brother. The Lord has sent me ahead of you to preserve your lives." Commentary. Historical significance. The event of Jacob and his family going down to Egypt is the foundation of the book of Exodus, the opening step for the period of the Israelites' slavery, preparatory words for the appearance of Moses. When Jacob died, he blessed each of his sons. He said of Judah, "The kingdom shall not depart from Judah." This was the first prophecy that the Messiah would come from Judah. Joseph lived on for many years. As he neared his death, he said, "The Lord will surely remove you from this land. Take my bones with you." Theological significance. The end of Genesis is not the end of the story, but the opening of God's plan of redemption through a chosen people, a lineage preserved, a promise leading to the Savior. And so the story of Genesis ends, but God's journey with humanity continues. What began in Eden did not end in Egypt. His promise to Adam did not stop with Abraham. His covenant with their fathers did not end with the 12 tribes, but extended to all peoples, all nations, all times. Through every event, every life, every generation, one thing still burns like an unquenchable flame. God is faithful. He keeps his word. He shapes history with the hands of grace. Adam failed, but the promise remained. Noah stepped out of the ark, and the rainbow remained in the sky. Abraham walked without knowing where he was going, but his faith remained. Isaac carried the promise in his heart. Jacob wrestled with God, and Joseph kept a nation alive. All these threads, from creation to covenant, from frail humans to powerful plans, weave together into a great tapestry that depicts the coming Messiah. As we close Genesis, we are not standing at the end, but at the open door of redemptive history. God is still at work. His word is still alive. The promised offspring is still moving forward, and every human life that enters this story bears the mark of God. So the conclusion is not silence, but praise. The one who begins the new heavens and the new earth is also the one who guards every step of humanity. Blessed be his name forever. His glory will never end. His kingdom will come, and his will be done, from the beginning to eternity.